Cyberpunk 2077. It's been out for a long time, we've talked about it to death, but it's got some new life being breathed into it thanks to the Phantom Liberty expansion in the works. And we finally know what it is, and it seems very much like CD Projekt RED is secretly kind of rebooting the entire game because there is a lot that is changing. After a very rough and frankly inexcusable launch and a few years of actual fixes to the main game, things seem like they're getting interesting now. We've cobbled together interviews, previews, and official info, everything we will link below, to give you all you need to know so far. Some of this is featured specifically in the Phantom Liberty expansion coming this fall, and some is just coming as a free patch update to the main game at the same time. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get started off with number 10. In terms of the story, Phantom Liberty is sounding really cool. We're not going to spoil anything, and frankly, CD Projekt RED seemingly hasn't said too much, but it's worth highlighting. Personally, we think the narrative was the best part of Cyberpunk, and after The Witcher 3, there's no denying that CDPR definitely knows how to tell a decent story, and in Phantom Liberty, the President crash lands in the new explorable area, Dogtown, that we'll talk about in a little bit, and obviously when the President crash lands in a lawless area, she's gonna get kidnapped. So now there's a nice little hostage situation. So you, V, are gonna team up with the seemingly awesome looking FIA agent Solomon Reed, played by none other than famous movie star Idris Elba, and Agent Songbird, who claims she can cure V of Soul Killer, which could have some interesting changes to the main narrative, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, it's worth noting that Keanu Reeves is back, playing Johnny Silverhand, which is awesome, and from impressions and previews so far, it sounds like Johnny Silverhand is not being sidelined for like a new story by any means. Apparently, he's still right in the mix. Apparently, we're gonna get even more context and insight into the earlier days of his wild life, which is safe to assume fans definitely want to see. In terms of tone, a lot of outlets like PC World have dubbed the game as a futuristic spy thriller, which sounds like a nice shakeup, and you know, if it's hyperbole, yeah, but if that's what it actually is, it sounds like it's just what the doctor ordered. Hopefully they can actually realize the potential of this new angle, and hopefully Idris Elba puts in just as good and as memorable of a job as Keanu did, because that could make for something pretty good. Next, over at number 9, speaking of crash landing in Dogtown, that leads us to our next point, the new location, the new area of Dogtown. This is completely a big explorable thing added with Phantom Liberty, and it lies deep within the Pacifica District, which, if you don't remember, the Pacifica District has zero law enforcement presence. It's where the Voodoo Boys were based, but Dogtown finds a way to be even worse. Not only does it lack law enforcement, but it's also where NCPD apparently dumps the worst of the worst cyber psychos and criminals, and a lot of it is also controlled by a ruthless militia with tons of guns. So basically, it's a total combat zone, and you're trapped in it because it's completely walled off to the rest of the city. So definitely not the place to be, living out your retirement or vacation or anything, but it definitely seems like the perfect video game location. From what we've seen, it kind of reminds us of like Escape from New York or Escape from LA. You know, gameplay trailers and previews show an almost post-apocalyptic-like city with all the neon and tech you'd expect, but also rubble, blood, and chaos in the streets, and fires blazing everywhere. Graphically, also, it looks like a really intense place. We don't know how you're gonna get in and out of Dogtown exactly yet, but we're looking forward to finding out. Now, switching gears over to number 8, we're getting a whole new radio station in Phantom Liberty, and you might hear that and think, oh, okay, no big deal, just a couple of music tracks to drive around to, but the story is a bit cooler than that. So, the radio station is 89.7 Growl FM. And you may or may not remember that CD Projekt RED announced on social media like a sort of music event contest for the Cyberpunk community last year. So musicians and artists and fans were able to submit their music, and the developers made some selections, and 14 tracks are featured on the new radio station from artists like Skin on Flesh, Saint Aurora, Red Dead Roadkill, Spirit Machines, and a bunch more. And this is, in our opinion, a great thing. I mean, licensed real music tracks in games often expose people to new types of music and new artists. And for artists from the gaming community to get that opportunity just feels like a win-win. These artists join the rank of the many incredible artists and songs from the base game, and if you ask us, the more music the better. It just seems like a good guy move. Is CD Projekt Red trying to make up for their past sins? I don't know, but hey, let's move on. Next at number 7, yeah, remember the car chase combat sequences that were kind of stuck to the select sequences in the main game? Did you want more of those? Or the freedom to do them at any time? Well, it seems your prayers may have been answered, it seems. Vehicular combat seems to be coming to the free patch update in September, and we've now heard about it in previews and even the marketing with the screenshots showing V firing a handgun from a motorcycle. CD Projekt Red confirmed that you can fire guns from cars or motorcycles, and even use certain weapons that will be mounted to select special vehicles, which is potentially really fun, especially in Dogtown, where it seems like you might need it. Now, think like, mounted turrets and stuff, but cyberpunky. Apparently, you're going to be able to engage in this new type of gameplay more often out in the open world, thanks to specific opportunities we'll talk about later, as well as engaging with the police, which leads to our next point. At number 6, how the police and the wanted system, or lack thereof at launch, worked in Cyberpunk, it was a mess. Now, leading up to launch, it sounded promising, and like CD Projekt Red did have plans to make that another component of the game that helped to kind of immerse you into the world of Night City. I mean, every open world game worth its salt has some sort of police system, some sort of chase system, some sort of responsibilities for your actions, reaping what you sow, stuff like that. To really make you feel like you're in the world. And unfortunately, Cyberpunk at launch didn't really have that. Police would just spawn out of nowhere right in front of you. You were able to lose them by just running a few feet away from them. They didn't really do anything. It was a total bummer. We've talked about it enough. This all hurt even more, especially if you were going into it expecting something like Grand Theft Auto, but in a cyberpunk world. Now, thankfully, it seems like they're going to the core, to the root of it, and with Phantom Liberty, it seems like they're making it right with a full wanted system that they originally wanted to include. According to GameSpot, it's more in line with what we've been used to in something like GTA. Committing crimes will get the attention of the police, and then they'll actually investigate. And as you continue to commit more crimes, one after the other, they will crack down harder and harder with ramped up units until inevitably Max Tax shows up. Then you're in trouble. This is easy, obviously, for rough comparison's sake, where it starts off in GTA with police, and then it escalates eventually to SWAT teams, and then the army showing up. But yes, this is awesome, and we love to see it. Hopefully they can really finally take advantage of this. Night City was a really cool city to run around in, but it always felt like more of a backdrop and not a living city. And now that you're actually going to face consequences for your actions, that's definitely going to help. Now, next over at number 5, this wouldn't be an expansion worth anything unless there were some new activities and weapons and items, right? Well, we don't have a ton of details yet, but we do have at least a few to share. We don't know which of these are exclusive to the new paid Phantom Liberty stuff and what might just end up in the world with the Phantom Liberty patch update to the main game for free that's releasing at the same time. Some will be exclusive to Phantom Liberty, apparently, so take that for what you will, but thanks to eagle-eyed users like Skulljack on Reddit, we've been able to catch a glimpse of some new weapons in the newest trailer, like a crazy-looking Tier 3 iconic double-barreled shotgun called Order, a funky smart submachine gun called Warden, smoke grenades, a new katana smartly named Errata with some really cool perks behind it that let you leap at enemies, and we've also seen a really fancy, high-tech looking new silenced pistol at work. As for vehicles, hard to list out what's new, but according to website Video Games Chronicle, Mama Wells is actually going to essentially give you jobs to steal specific vehicles throughout the world, and they all have their own conditions, like, get one in a time limit, or no damage, or stuff like that. And she's also gonna have a website where she sells the weirder cars, like the ones with the weapons mounted and stuff, as a kind of overhaul to the way you'd purchase from fixers in the old base game. Seems like a choice that makes sense and makes getting the actual cool cars you want a bit more accessible, because that was a problem in the earlier game. Now, if we're kind of branching into side quests, it is worth mentioning that there are plenty of new side quests and activities, like I mentioned above, as well as airdrops being added to the game, which are when big loot caches land near hostile territory and you need to race to where they are on the map and snatch them up quickly. Hopefully, this nets you some cool looking gear or weapons. Now, all of these activities and stuff will probably take advantage of a new gameplay system we mentioned earlier, and probably a safe bet, the car combat stuff too. Next, over at number 4, let's talk some more miscellaneous gameplay tweaks. Now, of course, it's worth noting that we actually have to see this stuff to believe it, and we'll reserve judgment when we get our hands on the final game and the full patch, but the Cyberpunk developers divulged a lot of smaller, meaningful changes in interviews like with VGC, aside from just like the new police AI overhaul. According to them, in the interview, all the core main systems of the game have been redone or updated in a major way. Now, of course, like I said, as of right now, we can only take their word for it, and some people might not believe that, but there are at least some specifics they put out, so we figured we'd rattle them off. The UI and the UX has been updated, the difficulty curve is different, the tiers and loot drops are changed, the enemies are more varied, factions fight more dynamically and get into their own car chases, pedestrians are beefed up a bit, vehicles have new targetable weak spots, overall AI combat improvements, better NPC faces, apparently armor rating, defense rating stuff isn't tied to clothing, so you can just wear whatever. This stuff all could be subtle, or it could add up to make significant, meaningful differences in feel. We'll have to play it and judge for ourselves, but we'll link some other previews and interviews from outlets that have checked out the game if you want to see for yourself. Now down to number 3, one of the biggest takeaways from people who have seen or gotten hands-on with the game is how much the RPG stuff has been overhauled. Specifically, the cyberware, the skill tree, and attribute system. Now, there are new perks and a handful of new active abilities, which sound way more exciting than just buffs. And apparently, everything is changed up enough to the point where you're gonna need to respec and dole out all of your points into the new systems if you're using an older save file. And along with that, like we kind of mentioned previously, armor and stats and buffs and all that goodness is tied directly into cyberware, not your clothing. Now, cyberware is a bigger deal, and apparently you can really lean into more playstyles thanks to more abilities, but there's also a risk-reward system about taking on different types of cyberware. Too much of a certain thing may debuff you in a certain way, so you have to be strategic, which frankly is pretty awesome. It works within this world, and the base game was a little lame in this regard, so it's nice that they're actually making the cyberware as cool as hopefully it could be. You know, the developers said they aren't going full into like cyber psychosis territory with that balancing act, but it sounds to me like they're at least dipping their toes into it. It's really cool that they're just rethinking the whole RPG angle of Cyberpunk, and we hope it works out. Now, speaking of that, at number 2, there is a whole new skill tree called Relic. We don't know too much about it, but apparently unlocking these apparently alters cyberware that you already have, unlocking new skills for them, like say for new movement abilities or your mantis blades if you have them. And you're going to be unlocking this stuff with relic points, which is something that you can earn in Dogtown. Sounds like something expansion worthy. I hope it is. But with that, finally, at number 1, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty and presumably the free update patch thing are both launching September 26th, 2023. Phantom Liberty is dropping for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Yeah, that's right, this isn't launching on PS4 or Xbox One, which, yeah, sucks if you're still on last gen, but would it really run anyway? I don't know. As for PC, here are the minimum specs on screen here and the recommended, so take that for what you will. PC players, CD Projekt RED is making it easier to jump into as well. According to a developer that went on record with GameDeveloper.com, they said new or returning players will also be able to make a new character and load up the expansion to jump straight into the new story if they so choose. So think of it like The Witcher 3 and you have Blood and Wine and you can just jump into that or something like that. So there you have it. That's everything you need to know about like CD Projekt RED's weird secret reboot of Cyberpunk 2077. Stuff under the hood, stuff involving Phantom Liberty expansion, all that stuff. That's what we know right now. Read up on it if you want in the description down below. But if you like this video and you like talking about games with us every day, clicking the like button's all you got to do. It helps us very much. But as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.